Welcome back to another day, another episode of The Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, it's Thursday. Thursdays, we kind of watch videos and give our reactions to videos. We got two videos today. We got one from the Real Life Fake Wizard, which is a long one. It's 38 minutes long. It's talking about the video game industry is collapsing. So we're going to watch that one. And then we're also going to watch a video from Swaguley. I think we watched him a couple of months ago talk about Battlefield. Well, he's back with another one calling there's only a skeleton crew left on Battlefield 6. So that's interesting. So I want to watch that and listen and give my thoughts to that one as we talk about Battlefield 6 as well, because we love talking about Battlefield. I'm a Battlefield guy, right? I'm going to talk about things I like, and even though I'm not playing the game, I love to shit on Battlefield now because Battlefield is no longer Battlefield. But this is what I do, Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Good morning, everybody. Let me see who's all here. Let me scroll back up here. What's going on? Where is it? There it is. Aku, Crowded, what's going on? Good morning. Big Mo, Altern, Michelle, good morning. Sarge, good morning. Jesse Mack, good morning. Water Bear, good morning. Wonder Rose, good morning. All right. So let's get started. If you guys missed the song, the new song that we have, it won't be up until March because I'm not allowed to do any more uploads because I did the album earlier this month. So I got to wait till March before my next upload for the music. It's called The Plan's the Plan Until It's Not a Plan by our wonderful new CEO over at Xbox, Asha Sharma. So if you missed that, we'll play it again at the end of the show. I appreciate you very much for tuning in, hanging out, and also checking out our songs. Don't worry, guys. I have a new shirt coming out. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. Let's go on over to Real Life Fake Wizard here and see what he has to say about the video game industry collapsing.
Hi there, I'm the Real Life Fake Wizard. You know, the more I do these videos and do more research into the games industry, the more I believe that it is a house of cards filled with incompetence, misdirection, but most of all, avarice. Greed is a critical factor in gaming. On February 20th, 2026, Phil Spencer, the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, the man who has been the face of Xbox for over a decade, announced his retirement, effective pretty much immediately. And in the same announcement, Sarah Bond, Xbox president, and Spencer's...
Sarah Bond, man. Regardless on how you get let go or whatnot, they did her dirty, right? They did her dirty because they literally made her believe. And again, as the new CEO says, the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. The plan was that she was the next person in line for Phil's job. She thought that was the plan. But then the plan changed the plan, which wasn't the plan anymore. The new plan was not the old plan. So she got ousted. Dirty.
Protege, the woman who had been primed for 8 years to take over the top job, resigned. Both of them quit abruptly at the same time on the same day. And if you're sitting there thinking that's kind of weird, yes, it is weird. When CEOs and presidents who've overseen nearly $80 billion in acquisitions and led massive tech companies for nearly a decade retire, usually it's to the sound of fanfare and
yes.
They roll.
Yeah, it's usually a nice runway. Like, hey, thanks for your service. Thanks for coming out. Here's a gold watch. We're respecting you. That's not what happened here. That's not what happened here.
A red carpet for an orchestrated passing of the torch. Corporate retirements can be used as a show of strength for the brand and the company, signaling to investors that things are still going according to plan. But in this case, Spencer's departure was a Friday afternoon memo and a Monday morning replacement. And who is that replacement? Asha Sharma, a 36-year-old executive whose career includes...
She's wearing Adidas. Or those Pumas. I think those are Pumas.
It's Instacart, Meta, a home services startup, and Microsoft's AI division. No game development experience, no publishing experience, no studio management experience, no gaming industry experience of any kind at any point in her entire...
I'm not judging her. Well, I am. But she seems very I don't know. There's certain people that when you are a CEO of a company, you have a certain look on you. She does have that look of like no life behind there.
Their career. Now, all of that could be fine, and maybe Sharma is going to do a great job, but there are too many questions. There are too many variables. And
I'm not saying she's good looking. I'm saying she has that look. Yeah, the poker face. Thank you, Altern. Right? She has that look on her face where it's just like she could tell you straight to your face, like, go F yourself. And she could also tell you, I'm so happy for you. And that face stays exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? What's going on, Kyla?
Gamers are being left in the dark intentionally.
Waterbear says very AI-like.
Gamers are being intentionally left in the dark at a time when the overall gaming industry.
Let me back up there for a second because
questions. There are too many variables, and gamers are being left in the dark intentionally. Gamers are being intentionally left in the dark at a time when the overall gaming industry.
I know where Wizard's going, like saying like we're left in the dark, but to be honest, you were never in the light. We were never in the light. These companies don't give two shits about us. They pretend they care about us. They we're listening, but at the end of the day, yes, we are the oil, right? We are them just drilling oil, and we're the oil. We keep giving them more money, and we're the ones that make them the big corporations they are. But their mentality is there's so many of them that we don't need you, because they know that the majority of the people are lemmings. And the rest of us that actually have two brain cells and are like, yeah, I'm not going to buy your product, or I don't trust you, is the minority. And this is why they don't care about us.
Is going through a slippery slope market consolidation. My friends, the video game industry as we know it is collapsing. Things are changing. We don't have journalists asking the right questions.
That's a big one. Journalists, if you look at it, we talked a little bit last night with Sarge was playing with us with Space Marines. The journalists are not asking the right questions. As a journalist, you're supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to report unbiased news. That is not what's happening in regular world news, in gaming news. It's all about just spoon feed us, right? They do not ask questions.
We don't have creators asking the right questions. And because of that, companies like Microsoft will be able to accomplish strategic moves that are less and less friendly for us gaming customers. Today's indie game shoutout is Factorio, a game about building and creating automated factories to produce items of increasing complexity.
All right, it's like Satisfactory here.
In an infinite 2D world. Use your imagination to design your factory, combine simple elements into ingenious structures, and finally protect it from the creatures who don't really like you. To learn more about this and hundreds of other indie games, visit our free indie game discovery network, fakeportal.com, or scan the QR code on your screen. Now back to the video. Part 1. The successor. Let's start with who Asha Sharma actually is, because the conversation online has been almost entirely about whether or not she plays video games.
I said this the other day. I don't care if she plays video games. I don't care that she is qualified enough because she plays video games or doesn't play video games. My problem is they care that you care that she plays video games, hence why they made an account, hence why she shared her account, hence why you look up the achievements, and then when they tell you that, well, she doesn't need to be a gamer, they know, well, Phil Spencer was a gamer. Like, truly, he was a gamer. He loved games. The big-ass nerd that he was, right? One of us. But he ran a company, and we respected that for him, even though we were like, just run the business, stop playing games, right? I don't care that she doesn't play games, but I do care that Xbox tried to trick us, because we're not stupid, that she played games. That's the problem, right? That's the problem.
How many hours have you sunk into Hello Kitty Island Adventure? But that is the least interesting thing about her.
Exactly.
What is interesting is her career history compared to the role she just started at Xbox,
right,
and how those two
qualifications, the resume. Like, what have you done? It's kind of weird. You've only been in companies for like 2 to 3 years.
things are connected. Sharma graduated from the University of Minnesota's Carlson School of Management with a business degree. From there, she went into Microsoft for a brief marketing stint. Then she was a key leader at Porch Group, which is a home service platform.
She created this company, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm CCOO. Yeah, I'm a CCOO of my own YouTube channel.
Their chief marketing officer and then COO. After that, she moved to Meta as vice president of product and engineering, where she ran Messenger and Instagram Direct. From there, she became COO of Instacart, the grocery deliveries app, overseeing product, design, data science, marketing, operations, and customer support.
Everything about this resume screams Xbox. Right? When this person comes across the desk and hands you the resume and you're like, wow, you have no experience in gaming. Nope. But I know AI, you're hired. Right? Again, I'll say this again. There's so many people that work, that work in Microsoft as the huge umbrella, right? There's hundreds, if not tens of thousands of people that work for some studios that have been working in the video game industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, right? There's also people that are running studios or ran studios that no longer are in business, right? There's so many people, and yet they're like, Instacart, let's hire her.
In 2024, she joined Microsoft as president of Core AI Product, and today she is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. That is her career. That is the person who now runs Xbox. At this point, there are some clear takeaways. Firstly, she's got no games industry history, which means no knowledge of shipping games or resources required to make games. She also doesn't have the emotional connection to Xbox's history or the decisions made from 2013 onward that led to the dramatic decline of the Xbox brand. I'm also going to wager, and I hope I'm wrong here, but she likely doesn't understand who gamers are, or the grievances gamers have with the industry as a whole. She doesn't know how emotional gamers are and what they actually want. This is important, right? Like, you're the CEO of a $100 billion business. You should have an intense understanding of
okay, that's a low blow.
who the people are that buy your product. But the second takeaway is that her background...
All right, let me rewind. I missed what he said.
Gamers are and what they actually want. This is important, right? Like, you're the CEO of a $100 billion business. You should have an intense understanding of who the people are that buy your product. But the second
But they don't care. They don't care who the people are that buy the product. They just know people buy product.
Takeaway is that her background is corporate through and through, working in many different parts of the corporate America world and clearly rising those ranks quickly. That means this is someone who speaks corporate tongue and must understand it well to be so high-ranking so young. And some journalists have noted that she's known for being skilled at user acquisition, allegedly making a name for herself.
Look, it's always nice for a company to hire someone younger, right? Because if you're investing, right? If you're a business, even if you start a business today, I don't care if you make a bakery, a fast food restaurant, or whatever. There's a high risk, high reward with hiring someone that's young. Because based on the person that you're interviewing, if that person feels like, just talking to that person, you're like, oh, I like this person. We get along. I can see this person in my company, running that company for a very long time because they're young. Right? So then they're passionate, so they'll learn about the stuff, right? That's young, though. She's young in the corporate world because she's 36. But people that are young also like to leave because they get bored super fast because they're like, is this where I want to be? Do I want to be here for the next 5 years? I don't see myself. My vision board says otherwise, right? And that is why when you hire young, it's a very big risk. This is why you see old fucking people running companies, because they have experience and people are like, they've been around a while. And this is what happens. Yes, there are young people, young CEOs that run companies. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs when he was younger, Bill Gates when they were younger. And these are all old or past rich people because they now have experience, but they've learned a lot along the way in their own companies. When you hire someone into your company, I don't have to stay with you. I'm here just to do the thing, and then I'm moving out. I don't care. There's no loyalty anymore.
Strong user growth during her tenure at Instacart. But the question isn't whether she's competent, right? Because clearly she is. The question is whether her competence is relevant to running the largest gaming division on the planet. And everything on her resume says logistics, operations, services, delivery infrastructure. Not one line says creative vision,
nothing,
player community, or studio culture. Microsoft is effectively telling us
that is why Matt Booty's there. Matt Booty's there because he's been in the business for so long. He's like, she comes in and is like, "Hi, I'm Asha. I'm the new CEO." And they're like, "Oh, this is such and such with the nice to meet you, Todd. Nice to meet you. He made Fallout and he also worked on Skyrim. Oh, I love Skyrim, right? Or you know what I mean? Like, this is what Matt Booty's there for.
She's not there for the creation of new games per se.
Otherwise, Matt Booty could be replaced by ChatGPT. He'd be like, who runs? Yeah, okay, thank you.
She's there for the machine. Part 2, the misdirection. Now, immediately after...
I like what you did there. The misdirection.
After the announcement of the new CEO, gamers took to social media and started asking about her resume. How many games has she played? Has she sunk 800 hours into Minecraft? Is she a sweaty League of Legends player? And will she bring back Viva Pinata? Oh wait, that was just me. People...
Viva Pinata was pretty good.
Wanted to scrutinize if she was a real gamer, to the point, well, I think gamers gave up their cards on this one.
Sorry, Copilot. She can't use ChatGPT. She's under contract.
Within hours of her announcement as the CEO, Asha Sharma's Twitter account became active. She put out a statement, and by Saturday, she was replying to tweets and gave out her gamer tag so that we could see her resume. The account is realistically only 3 weeks old. Most of the achievements collected are done so on the same 3 or 4 different days. And all the gamers on social media who were trying to condemn her for not being a quote-unquote real gamer essentially were defeated.
Right, and that's the thing, right? People run with, she's not a real gamer, and then you have other people that jump on top of that and say, oh, well, she's not a gamer. It's not about her not being a gamer. It's about them lying to us that she is or isn't a gamer. Like, it really isn't that hard. Like, if I was running for a political office and was like, hey, are you a gamer? Yeah, here's my gamer tag. Go check it out. Right? It's been there. 12, 15, 17, 18 years. Okay? Just go look it up. Why is it so hard? Be like, what's your gamer tag? Oh, did she have a gamer tag before the one that he gave her 3 weeks ago? Probably not. Right? Then she comes out and put more gas in the fire. Oh, no, it's a shared account. It's a shared account. My family's playing it. Okay.
Needed here. Yeah, because Access Media journalists and creators took her replies and gaming history and ran victory laps with it. They got to frame the conversation as, see, chuds, the angry gamers are wrong again.
Well, let me read some of these. Beep Bop Boop, the new Xbox. Asha Sharma hits back with the claim that her social media account is run by AI and her posts and her gamer tag.
Frame the conversation as
Christopher Driggs says, you don't have to be a gamer to work in the video game industry. You don't have to have a gaming background to run a gaming company. You don't have to be a writer to be a writer. It's very true. All of these things are very true.
See, chuds, the angry gamers.
Dana says, I find it hilarious also when people think you also need to be a gamer to be a CEO of a gaming company. Unlocking achievement isn't going to help you sell a console or games. There's also a long list of executives who also change gaming because there's a good business side, not by how many hours they've played a game. Man, these are going to be great to go back to just a couple of years from now.
Are wrong again. She does play games.
The last few days, talking about Xbox, here shows what's wrong with the platform. Phil and Sarah gone, mostly negative, sudden reports putting them down. Asha has been here for all of 3 seconds, and everyone's trying to discredit her and run her down before she's even done anything. Dano, I'm sorry to tell you, we didn't create her account. She came out and said, here's my gamer tag, here's my favorite games, here. Like, they did this. We didn't do this. We didn't make the account for her. She made the account. Microsoft made the account for her to try to give her credibility, which is backfiring. That's all. Open your eyes.
You're all just toxic. Now, I point all of this out, and I think it's very important because, well, as I'm watching this, I can see this is clearly misdirection. This was Microsoft.
That's the real question, Jay. She probably doesn't even have an Xbox. She probably didn't play an Xbox. They probably said, did you have an Xbox? She's like, no, I didn't buy one. And they're like, oh, well, shit, that was a mistake. Why didn't you buy one? I have a PlayStation instead. They're like, oh, God, we can't have you have a PlayStation. You have to have an Xbox. Quick, get her a gamer tag. Play some Minecraft. Play some other things. What are your favorite games? Tell us what your top 3 games are. I don't know a game. Halo. You like Halo. Halo, yes. That's the shooty bangy game, right? Yeah. What's the other game? Velcro? Valheim, yes. So what kind of game is that? It's a survival game. Yes, I love that. That's what I love. And my third game is 007. That's a franchise. What is, like, what game? Golden Figure. Nope, no. A lot of pussy. No, that's Octopussy. GoldenEye. Yes, GoldenEye. All right, it's sent. Thank you so much. Welcome to Xbox. Thank you.
It's a big play, baiting angry gamers to go after her achievement list instead of going after her qualifications. My friends, many of you fell for it. We're talking about a division of a $3 trillion company that just spent nearly $70 billion on the largest gaming acquisition in history.
Yeah, her favorite game is when the PlayStation had, what was that thing called? Home? Yeah. When Home was out on the PlayStation 3, that was her favorite game. And Little Big Planet.
And it's also failing to meet its own financial targets, the leadership of which was just ousted in an afternoon memo without a piece of cake or even a pizza party. What is going on here? And what is happening for Xbox? Microsoft is too big and too powerful. Whatever happens next will impact all gamers. Doesn't matter what console you play on. I don't care what her KD is in Call of Duty. I have thousands of questions, and because the gamers were so easily baited, the Access Media journalists aren't asking the scrutinizing questions.
Well, they don't ask questions at all.
That are important. They're running defense for Microsoft, talking about the bigoted, hateful gamers who don't want to see a woman in a leadership role. Do you see what I mean? Don't worry, journalists. I will ask the important questions here.
Thank God for the wizard.
And I think they're the questions every gamer...
Thank God we have to take a man in a fake beard and a fake hat calling himself Fake Wizard to get actual facts. Think about that for a second. We can't even turn on a news station. We have to get our news and facts from a man in a fake beard and a wizard cap calling himself the real-life Fake Wizard. And I like him, right? He's a friend of a show. It's just funny that we have to go to him to find the real information out.
Deserves the answers to. Number 1, was Phil Spencer pushed out, or did he...
Yes, he was pushed out.
...choose to leave? Microsoft says he told Nadella in the fall of 2025 that he was, quote, thinking of stepping back, but thinking about it in the fall and being replaced
2 different things.
3 days after a Friday afternoon announcement are 2 very different timelines. Which one is it? What's the truth? 2.
We know the truth. I know the truth. You know the truth. We all know the truth. But they're trying to make. Oh no, he wanted to retire. We were just gonna. Here's the worst part. IGN found the leak supposedly, and they wanted to get ahead of it. So this is why they said it on Friday. Otherwise, we would have just found out on Monday. On Monday, it would have just dropped that he retired today. Done. But instead, they gave him a nice leeway of 3 days.
Why was the announcement so compressed? If this was planned for months, why didn't Microsoft give it a proper rollout?
Right.
Why the Friday to Monday timeline? 3. Did Sarah Bond quit because she was passed over? Was she passed over? Was she forced out? She was the heir apparent. Everyone in the industry expected her to...
Oh, I could picture that day, right? Because they said Asha has been there for like a month or so, right? Can you imagine the day that comes in? I've seen this happen in real life, not to myself, but You walk in and they're like, "Oh, hey, Nadella, how are you? Yes, good. Who's this? Oh, this is Asha Sharma. She's part of our president of the AI. We're going to work with her to see how we can incorporate Xbox with the AI." And they're like, "Oh, nice to meet you." And they shook hands. Sarah and Asha shook hands. And Asha at that point knew she was taking the job over. And Sarah had no idea. And she's like, "Oh, she's going to work under me, right? And she's going to answer to me." That's what Sarah was thinking. And then a month later, they're like, "Sarah, you're fired." And they're like, "What? Who took my job?" "Asha, that bitch." You know that's happened. God, I want the TV movie. I want the TV movie of this. Like, what could have happened?
To take the top job, and an outsider here was brought in instead. What happened? 4. Were both departures connected or independent? Because 2 senior leaders leaving simultaneously is not normal.
Well, technically, it wouldn't have been simultaneously. Sarah would have been fired on Friday, and Phil would have retired on Monday. But because it was leaked that Phil was retiring, she was like, "The fuck? I'm out."
Was this a coordinated clearing of the deck? 5. Who made the decision to hire Sharma? Was this
Satya. Has to be.
Nadella's pick? The board's, perhaps? Or was there an executive search firm involved? Because the person who chose her tells you a lot more about her than her gaming resume does.
Yep.
Number 6, what is Sharma's actual mandate from Microsoft leadership? Every CEO hire at this level comes with a directive. There's a reason they're brought in, like grow revenue by X or cut costs by Y, reposition the brand towards Z. What is hers? She posted on Twitter that her commitments are great games, the return of Xbox, and the future of play.
That's basically just erase her name from there. That's such a generic statement. Today I begin my role as CEO of Xbox, and here's my 3 commitments. Great games for a gaming company, return of Xbox, what the fuck does that mean? And the future of play. Okay.
And she even had a press release posted on the Microsoft website addressing this, but it's all just corporate word salad synergy jargon. What are you actually going to do, and how are you going to do it? 7, what are Xbox's real financial numbers? Yeah, we know a little bit, but where are we really at?
They won't tell us that. They don't tell us that. Need to know basis, and obviously we don't need to know.
Here. And where are we supposed to be going? These are very important. Does Xbox have a future?
Krebsy says, every time I hear her last name, Sharma, I think of the toilet paper company, Charmin. Oh.
8. What was the Activision acquisition supposed to deliver by now? And has it? Same for Bethesda. Are these acquired companies delivering on their billions of dollars in value? It seems like the answer is no. What is going wrong? Number 9. Is restructuring, or rather, divestiture on the table? This is very important, my friends, and not nearly enough people are talking about it. Number 10, why aren't the journalists asking any of these important questions?
Because they need their access. They need their access, Wizard. If they ask the wrong question, they will not be invited for another interview. They will not be there for the next game to come out so they can play it for the first time and give you their thoughts. This is the reason that Access Media doesn't ask questions. They just consume.
I mean, yeah, I already said they're running defense for Microsoft, but I thought the job of a journalist was to inform the public.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, my mistake. That's right. Journalists today are just PR mouthpieces of an industry, and they need to make sure they keep getting invited to the private events. You know, the number of journalists I have actual respect for is, well, I could count them on my fingies. Part 3, the Bond problem. Sarah Bond joined Xbox in
Asha was like, Bond, oh my God, I just realized. 007, one of my favorite games of all time, she has the same last name as the main protagonist.
2017. She was promoted to Xbox president in 2022, and for 8 years she was groomed to be Phil Spencer's successor. Industry analysts described her as the heir apparent. Media described her as the heir apparent. By every visible metric, she was next in line. And then, on February 20th, 2026, she quit the same day as Spencer. In the same...
Well, now Spencer didn't quit. he was pushed out.
Announcement. But, and this is a big but, a few hours before the announcement of her resignation, Sarah Bond was active on LinkedIn. She reposted an Xbox research survey about...
Yeah, you wouldn't do this, right? We love to learn more about how you play so we can continue improving Xbox accessibility. She wouldn't give a shit. If you knew you were getting fired that day, you would not tweet out anything. You probably wouldn't even show up to work.
accessibility features in gaming, and added her own comments, quote, "We'd love to learn more about how you play so we can continue improving Xbox accessibility features. When everybody plays, we all win." Green heart emoji. Hashtag gaming for everyone. Let's think about that for a second. 3 to 5 hours before she's gone, she's promoting Xbox brand values on LinkedIn. She's posting as someone who is fully invested in the future of this company, but she's about to leave the company. Yeah, people who know they're about to resign don't often post brand-forward marketing content for a company they're walking away from the same afternoon. So with that in mind, either her LinkedIn is run by a bot, or it's run by an intern who didn't get the memo, or, and what seems to be more and more likely, Sarah Bond didn't know what was coming until that moment where she was...
100%. That is the real... Let's rewind... Here's the three things, right? Let's listen to this again.
Afternoon. So with that in mind, either her LinkedIn is run by a bot, or
correct,
or it's run by an intern who didn't get the memo,
or it was preemptive ahead of time, right? Put it out there.
Or, and what seems to be more and more likely, Sarah Bond didn't know what was coming until...
And I'm going to go with that. She commented not knowing what it was, and then she got fired.
That moment where she was gone. Her resignation memo on LinkedIn is polished. It praises Xbox. It endorses Asha Sharma. And it includes this line, quote, "I've had the privilege of spending..."
Because you don't want to come off as being a bitch, right? Even if you got fired. You want to try to save face for yourself when you go on to your next business. Because if you get hired to the next company and you're scorned by the last one, they'll look at that and go, oh, we don't want her, right? But if you have a nice resume, a nice little thing to put out and saying your piece, and I hope the best for them. They'll be like, oh, okay, is this a person that can let things go?
Time with Asha over the last few weeks. Over the last few weeks, the heir apparent was asked to spend a few weeks getting to know the outsider who...
Because she didn't know she was her replacement.
Was hired over her? Interesting, because that implies that either Sarah knew this was coming and that she was going to...
No, I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew that Asha was there to take her job.
Resign, or she had no idea she was doing an exit interview with her replacement.
That's
and that
right.
brings up more questions, actually. Why? Why wouldn't Sarah get Phil's job?
Could be a couple different reasons, I think, right? Again, speculation on my part, complete speculation. Maybe Satya Nadella doesn't like conflict. Maybe Sarah Bond's a person that does like conflict. Okay, where she can get her way because she can talk her way into it, hence why she got the job in the first place, right? And Nadella was like, I don't want to deal with this, so let's just bring her in and it'll just fix itself out. Again, like Office Space, we just keep pushing them off to the side, and it'll just work itself out, right? I'm assuming that's it, because even CEOs that run massive, multi-billion, trillion-dollar companies also don't have the balls to tell someone when they're fired. They tell other people to tell other people that they're fired.
There's no future for...
That's what I want to know. Who told Sarah Bond she was fired? I doubt Nadella told her.
Sarah at Microsoft at all. She resigned entirely. There are no other positions inside this company to transition to. All these years of executive level work and you just resign with no other job prospects? What's next on the horizon? Doesn't this all seem a little odd? Because
if you really truly like the job that you're in, and you're like, Sarah, we're going a different route, and we still really like you, and we would like you to stay with the company, and maybe we'll allow you slide into something else. She'll be like, go fuck yourself. You told me I was getting Phil's job, and then obviously that didn't happen. Again, speculation. I don't know if any of this happened.
And Phil Spencer's own framing is pretty revealing. He wrote, quote, "As part of this transition, Sarah Bond has decided to leave Microsoft to begin a new chapter as part of this transition." Those words tie her departure directly to the leadership change.
Right.
Then let's take a look at the news coming out of The Verge, which is reporting that people are internally relieved that Sarah Bond is gone. She was the one behind the Xbox Anywhere campaign. And
see, this irks me because people don't speak up until it's too late. They're like, "Oh yeah, I knew she was a problem the entire time. You know, I knew it was going to be good when she said this." Right? Everyone's quiet. They're like, "Oh yes, that's a great idea. Oh, I love that idea." As soon as you walk out the room, they're like, "What a fucking stupid idea that is."
this cringy Xbox ad was her idea, which turns out,
when this is her idea, wrong. You can't have one and the other, right? As Asha comes in, everyone's protecting her, saying, well, she has to learn and she has to delegate and get things, and she'll learn the actual thing. And then, now with Sarah Bond, this is her ad. Well, that's not how that works. She's a leader, so you would have to give the same parameters as you just gave Asha when she comes in. Maybe Sarah sat down and said, okay, 30 of you are in the room, pitch some ideas to me. And then they all say the stuff that they want, and then she goes, okay, let's take that one. Maybe they even had a democratic process where they literally said, who likes Sarah's idea? Who likes Tim's idea? Who likes Kylie's idea? And they're like, okay. And then they pick one. And then the company decides to put millions of dollars into the ad campaign and the commercials and product. Do we really truly believe that Sarah just walked into a room, or Phil, and was like, this is it, make it, and then walk out of the room? That's not how that works. There's hundreds of people involved in making this commercial. They could have stopped it at any time to say, is this what we really want? Nadella, anytime could have said, I don't like the direction. Change it. You don't think they want to change something? They spent $70 billion on a company. You don't think they could change a $30 million commercial if it costs that much?
Offended a lot of people internally. I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but it's clear that something is going on here, and it's hard to just take everything said at face value.
My point is, Jesse, it doesn't matter if Phil, it doesn't matter if Satya, it doesn't matter if Sarah said it. The point is, it goes through chains. Multiple people had to okay this. If little Timmy pitched it to Phil, and then Phil was like, this is the thing, obviously they take the blame for it because they're the leaders. But to say that it was their idea, I'm pretty sure they pay a lot of people a lot of money to come up with ideas. That's what the marketing department's for.
When even what's being presented at face value isn't being done confidently, Sarah Bond resigned. That's kind of a brain teaser. What happened? Why?
Right.
Part 4. Xbox is failing. Let's talk about why any of this is happening. Because the leadership changes at this level don't happen in a vacuum. They happen because something isn't working out. In 2023, Microsoft, under CFO Amy Hood, began pushing what has been reported as a 30% accountability margin target for the gaming division. Bloomberg was the one who reported this. Microsoft later denied the specific 30% figure as incorrect, while affirming that they do have ambitious goals. Translation here.
Right, it's not 30. It's not 30. It's 29.9%. Come on, get your facts straight.
The number leaked, the pressure is real, and they don't want you to know the exact target because they're definitely not hitting it. 30% is pretty huge. Like, for context here, the gaming industry's typical...
That's what I'm saying, Jay. Remember those videos? Remember those videos of the people during COVID when they worked at like Twitter or whatever? And they're like, oh, day in the life of a person that worked at Twitter. And they walked around and they're like, I had lunch. And then I went into a meeting. And then I went into lunch. And then I had another meeting. Then I had a farpay, or whatever the fuck they're called, parfait. And then I went back to another meeting. Then I had a cappuccino. Then I went back to a meeting. Do we truly believe that one person just walked in the room, was like, this is what we're doing, and then walked out the goddamn thing? No, you had 15 fucking meetings every single day for 3 weeks before they even decided to shoot one frame of the commercial.
Operating margin runs between 17 and 22% for things like blockbuster titles. Xbox's historical margins have been reported to be in the range of 10 to 20%. Microsoft was demanding performance that significantly exceeds what the gaming industry normally produces, and we know they did not achieve it. In Q2 of fiscal year 2026, the quarter ending December 31st of 2025, Microsoft reported that gaming revenue fell 9% year over year.
Ouch.
Xbox hardware revenue dropped 32%, which is
Well, duh. I mean, if you're not making hardware and you're not selling hardware, and the reason you're not selling hardware is because you told people that you don't need an Xbox. Yeah, imagine that.
massive. Content and services revenue, which includes Game Pass and first-party game sales, fell 5% and was described by Microsoft's own CFO as below expectations. Operating income for the more personal computing segment, which houses all of gaming, was down 3%. And it seems like Xbox was a contributing factor. Now let's talk about the Velociraptor here, the $69 billion Velociraptor. Not that one. Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard in 2023. The thesis behind this deal was that...
Can you imagine it's already been that long? Remember when it first happened, and we're like, man, this is going to take years to get finished. It took like a year and a half, and we're already 3 years past that point, almost 2.5 years.
That owning this content would make Xbox the dominant gaming platform. It would supercharge Game Pass subscriptions. It would give Microsoft an unassailable content library, and the numbers are still going down. If you spend $69 billion acquiring the most valuable content catalog in gaming, and your revenue is still declining, your hardware sales are cratering, and your first-party output is described as below expectations, the acquisition thesis didn't work. Yeah, either because the games are just bad, like they're not good enough and people
Like a Redfall.
don't want to buy them or play them, or because the strategy
And then when you have a good game like Tango, like Hi-Fi Rush, you close the studio.
behind the acquisition, the fact of owning the content would drive Xbox platform dominance, has not materialized. The truth, I think, could be a combination of both concepts. And this problem is not just a Phil Spencer problem, not just a Sarah Bond problem, per se. This is a Microsoft strategic planning problem that goes all the way up to Satya Nadella.
Yes. And at the end of the day, Satya is the one that says, yeah, okay, we can do that.
Microsoft spent nearly $80 billion acquiring some of the most famous studios in the world. And within 2 years, they were closing studios, canceling games that had been in development for half a decade, and laying off thousands of the people they had just acquired. And then there's Game Pass, my friends. Game Pass was supposed to be the entire Xbox strategy, but
It still is. It's still going to be, because they can't turn it around now. The only way you can turn it around is a complete and utter, like, I don't even know the word. I want to say rebrand, but it's not a rebrand, because it's out. You can't pull it back in. It's too much. You would do more damage now if you got rid of Game Pass and went, you know what, we're getting rid of Game Pass. We're just going back to you buying your game and here's a console. They would be done. They would be done if they did that.
the Netflix of gaming. But subscriber growth has plateaued, and, well, why, you might ask? Content is stale. That's a big one, and a point that is seldom talked about. And there are plenty of other reasons that it would plateau, but when you can't grow the subscriber base as you plan to or as you promised, and this juggernaut costs just too much money to operate, you know what you do?
All they had to do is exactly what PlayStation does. You can have all your games everywhere. You could put all your games everywhere. You could put them day and date on Game Pass for people on Xbox, right? You could put them day and date on PC, right? Because they're not buying a console, your competitor's console. PlayStation's smart. I've said this in the past. I like their business model with their first-party games. Their first-party title games, they put on their system, and they don't put them anywhere else. But now, because the industry is going where it is, they're going to move their games to day and date because that's what everyone's doing. But their business model before was put their games out there first, sell 5 million copies, and then let everyone else play it afterwards. That's what Xbox should have done. But Xbox wasn't in the place to do that. They're like, well, how do we get the edge on PlayStation? So Microsoft, because they are a much bigger company than Sony, decided to do what they're doing. And they said, well, we'll just brute force ourselves into the market and we'll force people to do day and date and make this what it is. And that's what they've done. Just like now, streaming is what it is for movies and stuff, and people don't go to theaters, right? Microsoft was trying to brute force what cloud service is and what Game Pass is. And this is why the industry is going where they're going. This is why it went digital. This is why it went to streaming service subscription models, because the industry itself knows where it's going. Okay. So now they can't do it. Everyone's already in the motion of going digital. Everyone's in the motion of going online subscription of some sort of service. They have to fundamentally shift. When you start to see Ubisoft closing down Ubisoft Plus and EA closing down EA Play and all these other companies like, oh, we're not supporting this anymore. That, and only then will you know that the industry itself is moving away from subscription-based models. Until then, that's the future, my friends.
You raise prices, which they did multiple times, because price increases on a stagnant user base is the last tool in the box when the growth story is over. Call of Duty was supposed to be the crown jewel driving Game Pass adoption, but because Game Pass user acquisition is so unreliable, they continue to put Call of Duty everywhere, on every platform.
They were always going to do that. They were never going to change that.
If your killer exclusive is
They have to make the $60 billion back faster.
No longer exclusive, either it wasn't driving enough subscriptions to justify the exclusivity, or the subscription model itself isn't performing. The strategy here is broken, and it costs $70 billion. When we stop,
when you look at it as just Call of Duty, yes, you're never going to make that money back. But when you look at it as what the brand is, they bought Activision for all the IPs, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, right? You can't just look at it as Activision, Call of Duty, $70 billion. No, you have to look at all the big picture, right? So again, then you look at Candy Crush, $3 billion or whatever it makes. Okay, well, that's a small chunk. I will say $3 billion. It makes $3 billion over the next 5 years. Is $15 billion for Candy Crush off the $60 billion, $69 billion that they spent. Well, then Diablo with their microtransactions, and Diablo Immortal with their microtransactions, and Overwatch with their microtransactions. And then, like, you have to look at all of this together. You can't just take Call of Duty and say, well, Call of Duty failed of the $70 billion. That's not how that works. You have to take it from their entire catalog of stuff and what they're making.
And analyze the poor decisions of Xbox. It's like a pattern of bad calls where they keep missing the ever clearer answer as to what they should do. But let's take us back now to 2013. Don Matrix's always online DRM disaster, the Kinect pivot, a bad E3 presentation. Essentially, all the great work done under Matrix's tenure vanished in a single presentation along with his reputation. The Xbox One was a disaster.
Because at what point do we keep the console games? When they're operating at a loss, but the games are not operating at a loss. You got to remember, they say they underperformed. We don't know for a fact if they made money or didn't make money. All we know is, again, if I want 100 people to watch my stream every day, Water, but I only get 50 people to watch my stream every day, but my average is 30. I got 50, but I didn't get 100. My stream underperformed. You don't know that number. You don't know the number that I wanted and the number that I got. I can just tell you my stream underperformed, right? That's the thing. It could be profitable, but not profitable enough, because I want to pay my $70 billion off faster, but we need to make the numbers go. But they didn't hit those numbers. So to them, it's underperformed because their goal is to make their money back within 10 years or whatever it is.
And so, under Phil and later Sarah's stewardship, they shipped Game Pass, the Netflix of games. But that wasn't enough either. So, what do we do? I guess we go multi-platform, right?
Right.
If we can't get gamers to buy our console.
Here's another problem. Businesses want so much money so fast of return. Like, just look at what you do yourself. When you invest money, are you investing money for long-term to get paid back the investment that you put in? Or do you want instant gratification? Obviously, we all want instant gratification because if I invest $1,000 into a stock or something, I want that money back within a certain period of time. It'd be great if it went overnight and I made my money and take the money out that I need. With corporations, they don't think that way. They think that we did something and we need a return on investment ASAP. Not 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We need instantaneous because they're, like America, spend money on their credit card before they even have the money. They just keep spending the money because they want greed. They're like, oh, well, this one made $1 billion, so well, obviously the next one's going to make $1.5 billion. The next one's going to make $2 billion, $2.4 billion.
And games will widen the funnel to get more people in at the top of the funnel. That's going to do it. And, that didn't work out either, huh? Well, I guess let's buy up all the IPs in gaming. We'll just buy everything and we'll control all the games coming out, and with the big funnel and all the games, that'll make us successful. And no, it seems like that hasn't worked out at all. I said a moment ago, there was a clear answer, and not Xbox or Sony or Tencent or Nintendo has the wherewithal to admit the answer staring them all in the face. And that answer is make better games, which
that's our slogan on the channel. Our slogan on the channel is make a game, sell a game. I've been saying it for a decade. On YouTube. Make a game, sell a game. Yet, for some strange reason, every studio on planet Earth just can't figure that out. Like, well, how do we make money? How do we do the thing to bring in the cash? Make a game. Make a game.
Which takes us very clearly into point 5, the desperation play. Xbox exclusives are now releasing on PlayStation.
Travis says, what? I thought our slogan was a plan is a plan until it's not a plan. Now, that was the old plan. But the new plan, which is technically the old plan, which is make a game, sell a game.
And Nintendo. Games that were supposed to be the reason you bought an Xbox are now going everywhere. Microsoft is calling this a bold new strategy. I'm calling it what it is, an admission of failure. If the games were good enough to drive people to the platform, they'd keep them exclusive. That's what exclusivity is, my friends. You have the confidence to say, this experience is worth coming to us for. This experience is so good, you'll buy a $500 console to play it, and all our other exclusive.
Well, back in the day, $500 systems didn't go very well, right? Back in the day when Nintendo and PlayStation and stuff were out, the Atari Jaguar came out and Neo Geo. And at that time, those systems were like $500, $600, which what a PlayStation was, a decade later. And that system didn't sell well. Do you know why? One, because the fucking system was too expensive. And two, there was no fucking games on the system. The only thing they did was, they put the arcade, and brought it home. Well, back then, we all went to arcades. So if I wanted to play Dragon's Lair on the Jaguar, I could, but I had to pay $700. Or I could go to my local arcade, put a quarter in the machine, and then play the fucking game, right? That's the difference. The difference was we had the options. And because we had the arcades, we could walk or drive or ride our bike to the arcade, we didn't need to spend $700 on the Atari Jaguar. So the Atari Jaguar didn't fucking sell. It didn't sell.
Which are just as memorable and impactful. The multi-platform push is the opposite of that statement. Instead, it says we no longer believe people will come to us, so we have to go to them. You know what I mean? Like, people would still buy Xbox merch and t-shirts and live their lives as brand advocates because they still loved Xbox. But
they're still there, by the way. People are still there, but they're very burnt. I've never been one of these people. I've never been a loyalist to any box. I just buy the box that I want to buy, right? PlayStation, the only reason I have an Xbox right now and not a PlayStation is because PlayStation, when it came out, wasn't in stock. True story, right? So I have an Xbox, and then by the time PlayStation was in stock and I could get one, I couldn't afford one because I was like, I don't need both systems because I don't really care about playing the first-party titles anymore. I play more third-party titles. And if I already have this box, and then my son has a box, we can play the games together. And that's exactly why I have an Xbox. Not because I'm a Xbox loyalist, not because I'm a PlayStation loyalist. I just want to play a game. That's it. But there's plenty of people out there that will still buy an Xbox. They'll buy the next Xbox when it comes out. They'll buy the next thing when it comes out, whatever it is for any system, because they're loyalists.
Now, what do Xbox fans really have to be proud of, huh? Gears 5? South of Midnight?
You had to put quarters on the ledge to hold your spot? Yeah. Yeah, you put it right up on the... Yeah.
Redfall? Starfield? Halo Infinite? What a joke. And very sad. I say that as someone who used to be an Xbox diehard once upon a time ago. And Satya Nadella's own words confirm this. When he announced Asha Sharma, he praised her ability to, quote, build and scale services that reach billions of people and align business models to long-term value.
Yep. Here's the thing. Long-term value. They don't know what the fuck that is. They don't. When you operate a business, if you started a brand new business today, you would love to make a turnaround in 2 years. Most of the time, it takes about 5 years, 3 to 5 years to turn a profit for your business. So for those first 2 years, you're losing money, right? You're just pulling up your bootstraps and you're holding on tight until you can get to that profit margin and be like, we finally made it. Okay. Corporate doesn't do the same. A mom and pop is different than a corporate. Corporate doesn't know what long-term is. It doesn't exist. Okay. They're for short term. And if it doesn't work in the short term, you're gone. Long term is for shareholders. They're like, yeah, I'm making money today and tomorrow and the next day. How much more money can I make, 5 years from now?
Read those words carefully, my friends. Not a single one of them is about games or creative vision or player experiences. He's using logistics corporate language. Nadella also said, and this is a direct quote, the best way to innovate is to have good margins. Margins?
The best way to innovate gaming is have the margins. No, the best way to innovate gaming is make a game. Make a game.
First, innovation second, the gaming, well, I guess it comes somewhere else down the line.
Yeah. It's in the word gaming, in gaming. Yet they don't make gaming in games.
Maybe never. This opens the door to more questions that journalists aren't asking. Does Microsoft actually want Xbox to be a gaming brand? Or do they want it to be a services platform?
I think Satya Nadella and Microsoft want Xbox to be just like what Asha is. A figure to make it look like she's a gamer. They have Xbox to keep their foot into the young market of Microsoft. Because think about this. If Microsoft gets out of gaming, what do they have for the younger generation? Like, what do they have? I'm asking. Like, what do they use that brings in young people into the ecosystem of Microsoft? I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Right? I can't think of anything. There's nothing that Microsoft has. Everything is boring, software-related stuff that no one gives a shit about. But the young generation, no one uses Bing. Right? The young generation plays games.
Perhaps maybe it's a content delivery mechanism for Azure cloud infrastructure, AI integration, and recurring subscription revenue. Is that all Xbox is now? Because
I would assume it's get them in young and make them a loyalist. Make them not a customer, but a consumer. And once you're a consumer and you feel like you have to keep having this because when you're a kid, you have memories. Like my kid right now is playing Xbox and Nintendo. When he becomes 20 and 30 years old, he's going to remember when he played when he was a kid. And that's sort of like a comfort thing. Be like, I remember Xbox. Oh, I remember Nintendo.
Because if Nadella sees gaming as a delivery mechanism rather than a creative enterprise, then every decision here sadly starts to make sense. The outsider CEO from Instacart and Meta makes sense. The end of exclusivity makes sense. The studio closures make sense. The layoffs make more sense. You're not building a gaming company anymore. Xbox needs to reduce itself to hit margin targets to justify its existence inside a corporation and revolutionized economy that demands more capital be spent on AI.
Well, McDonald's is actually not in the food business. I don't know if you know this, Titan. They're in it for the real estate business. McDonald's owns more real estate than most companies out in the world.
Advancement rather than Viva.
They just so happen to make food on those land where they can actually charge and make a subsidization of money. They have one of the most big portfolios of realtors in the world.
Pinata. Asha Sharma is here to operationalize Xbox to make it as efficient and profitable, whether or not it's still Xbox when she's done. That's her real mandate, okay? I don't think it's a mystery, and yet no one seems to be addressing this. And here's the thing, okay? This isn't just Xbox, my friends. This is happening everywhere. Sony is releasing PlayStation exclusives on PC. God of War, Horizon, The Last of Us, Spider-Man. Games that were supposed to be the reason you bought a PlayStation are now available without one. Square Enix,
Again, everyone looks at Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft as separate entities, and they are. But they're all together in the industry, and the industry says this is where we're going, so get on board.
And in PlayStation exclusivity for Final Fantasy, and it's going multi-platform. Even Nintendo, the most fiercely exclusive company in the industry, is seeing pressure to put its library on more devices. Nintendo Switch 2 sales were explosive on one hand, but are slowing down on the other hand. I think they'd rather eat their foot than put Zelda on PC. So if you see Nintendo executives eating their feet in 3 years...
Well, say what you want about Nintendo. They don't need to have, I mean, they make a shit ton of money anyway, but what I'm saying is they don't need to put their games on the other platforms legally because they believe in their product. Their product is that we sell Nintendo because of our first-party titles. So they keep making the games and stuff that people want. Nintendo's still making games for people that want games.
Now you know why. Everyone is going everywhere. And on the surface, that sounds great for consumers, right? And PC Master Race players, you're winning. More access, more choices, more ways to play. But there are consequences nobody's talking about. When every platform has the same games, there's no reason to choose one over another. And when there's no...
I've talked about this. Wizard.
No reason to choose. Platform competition dies. And when platform competition dies, you lose the singular pressure that has historically forced these companies to make great games. I'd like you to think for a second about what exclusivity actually meant originally, right? Halo existed because Microsoft needed a game so good that people would buy an Xbox just to play it. Uncharted existed because Sony needed that for PlayStation. Zelda existed because Nintendo needed that for their hardware.
Yeah, there was drive within the companies themselves to make an awesome game to outdo everybody else. Because if your game sold and your game was the God of War back in the day, right? Or the Uncharted or the Mario or the Halo, right? This was groundbreaking. Everyone that worked and then started wanting to work for the company was like, man, I want to make a game like Halo. I want to make a game like God of War. I want to be the next Mario maker. That's not what corporations are now. Independent developers are like, yeah, I want to make the next great game. Corporate world is, let's do the minimal viable product because it doesn't matter because no one's going to be buying this for this game. They're just going to play it because it's there.
Sales. Exclusivity surpassed business strategy. Sure, they loved seeing the console wars, right? But more so, and more importantly, these companies used to have competitive pressure that demanded excellence. In generation.
Look at sports. God, when two teams don't rival each other and you're just watching sports, you're just watching sports. It's kind of, okay, cool, my team beat that team. But people that don't watch sports, when the Boston Red Sox fight or play against the Yankees, if you like sports or not, you know those two are huge rivals. Same with football. right? Any kind of sport. When two teams are rivals, it's just more electric, more competitive. The games feel more exciting. Everything about it is just better because they're competing at the top of their level, hence why the Olympics is fun to watch, right? Hence why playoff games are fun to watch because these people, if it's a playoff game is a playoff game, but when the two playoff teams are playing each other and the two teams are like rivals, man, that's some of the greatest games you'll ever watch. Right? Doesn't matter. Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, right? Even when the Giants suck, you know it's going to be a good game against those teams. That's what competitive does. Just for that one game, they'll bring up their competitiveness just because they have to beat them. That's gone. That's missing completely from the gaming industry now.
Past, you had to make something so extraordinary that a person would spend $400 on a console for access to it. That pressure produced some of the greatest games ever made. Remove that pressure, and what do you get? Exactly what we have today. Safe, homogenous.
Just Enough says, the first time my kid saw Mario, he was a Dr. Mario. Now he thinks he's a doctor and not a plumber. Yeah. Oh man, it's like letting your son or daughter listen to Weird Al Yankovic's "Eat It" before Michael Jackson's "Beat It," and then thinking Michael Jackson copied Weird Al.
Multi-platform releases designed to maximize reach instead of maximize quality. You don't need to make the best games anymore. You just need to make a game that's adequate enough to sell on 5 platforms.
I like that Fake Wizard is talking about this stuff, right? He had, what does he have now? Is he over 80,000? Almost 79.3 thousand, right? I like that he's talking about this. I've talked about this stuff all the time. I don't get jealous, right? I'm sad that my channel's not bigger to spread the word more because I've been saying this stuff for years, right? I'm the same person. I'm going to stay the same. I love that other people are finally starting to wake up, talk about this stuff, and get it out there to more people to see. Makes me feel good.
Simultaneously, the bar drops from system seller to good enough, and good enough is how an industry slowly dies while pretending it's thriving. You know, the truth is here, and this is going to be uncomfortable for a lot of you. If these companies were still making games that were genuinely great, they'd keep them exclusive, and you'd love them for it, because great games move hardware. Great games justify platforms. The fact that everyone is abandoning exclusivity is an industry-wide admission that they don't believe their own products are strong enough
exactly
to be the reason someone actually chooses their ecosystem.
Because if they truly believe in their product, regardless of what the rest of the industry is doing, they would still stand straight. They would still stand where they are and still make the same thing. Say what you want about Nintendo, they still make the games for their system. Agreed or disagree, they still make it because they're like, we make the games and we believe in our games, and if people like our games, they'll buy our system. And they are. Less because it's too much money, but they'll buy it, and then they'll buy it down the road. Right? Hence why the Switch 1 is one of the most popular systems ever created. And the Switch 2 obviously is like, well, they want to sell more than the Switch 1. Maybe they will. Money-wise, they'll probably make more money, but they probably will never, ever sell more Switch 2s than the Switch 1. Right? Because people value, like, they love the games, but the value is too high. This is too high for this product. This product comes down to here, hence why the PlayStation 2 is the best-selling console, but it's not the most money-making console because it was only $100. The PlayStation 5 is what, $600? $550, $600? 6 times more.
Platform gaming is not the push towards consumer advocacy that content creators keep telling you that it is. These companies are cooked and the game is over. Part 6, the bigger picture. I could end this video here, and maybe I should. I can tell you that Xbox is in trouble and that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond's departures are visible symptoms of a brand in crisis, and that would be accurate and that would probably be enough. But it would not be the whole truth. Because, as I said a moment ago, this isn't just Xbox. The entire video game industry is
Jesse Mack says, not sure Not for Sony. They're never going to give up the exclusivity rights. Well, that's not true, Jesse, because there's when I tell people that want to buy physical copies of games, you're like, I'm always going to buy physical copies until you can't because they don't let you. They're never going to still get the exclusives when companies, just the other day, we read the article about Crimson Desert. Pearl Abyss, they wanted exclusivity for them for 1 year. They said no, right? If the companies that are making it look at this and say, no, we're not going to give you exclusive, then they're not going to get their exclusives. Then they have to make exclusive with just their first-party titles. And their first-party titles are less and less because they've taken their money and they put it more towards live service games. And because they went more towards live service games, there's less first-party title games coming out in the last couple of years. So they're kind of in their own little trap right now because they rolled the dice to see if they would get the live service that are non-exclusive, first-party titles, sharing across the board, instead of making the single-player game first experience. Now, Wolverine's coming out later this year. We'll see if it comes out and how fast it comes out to PC. Obviously, I think it'll only be on PlayStation. And then maybe 10 months, instead of 14 or 12, it'll be on PC. Because they know that's what they have to do. I'm okay with the exclusivities of their first-party games. Always have. If you're making the game in-house, by all means, put it on your console. That should always been the thing. Buying the third-party exclusives, that's what I always hated. Doesn't matter who did it. Xbox, Sony, I hated all of that. First-party all day long. First, keep it on your system first for 6 months, 6 years. I don't give a shit. Then if you want to put it elsewhere, cool.
Consolidating, and consolidation in a creative industry is a death sentence for innovation. Since 2022, approximately 45,000 video game industry jobs have been eliminated globally, with many more happening this year. Over 30 studios were fully closed. In the United States, 1 in 3 game developers reported being personally affected by layoffs in the previous 2 years. And the people hit hardest? Narrative and writing roles. They're the ones losing all the jobs. The people who tell the stories. The people who, at one point or another, made games better. Microsoft cut thousands. Sony laid off 900, including 220 at Bungie, a studio that they had just acquired for nearly $4 billion. EA laid off 1,700 across 2023 and 2025. And Embracer Group, a company that went on an $8 billion acquisition spree, subsequently closed 44 studios and eliminated...
Closed 44 studios. Jesus Christ.
Roughly 8,000 positions when the spending bubble collapsed. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund acquired EA for $55 billion. Tencent took a $1.16 billion stake in an Ubisoft subsidiary. The money is consolidating, which means the power is consolidating and the workers are being discarded in the aftermath. And what does a consolidating industry produce, like historically speaking? Risk aversion. It's something that keeps coming up in a lot of videos here now. In 2025, of the 19 live service games that launched, 15 lost 80 to 99% live service. Up in a lot of videos here now. In 2025, of the 19 live service games that launched, 15 lost 80 to 99% of their player base.
Jesus Christ. Who keeps coming into my channel? They sporadically come in and they're like, oh, live services, they're always successful. 15 games lost 99% of their they can't sustain that, man. They can't sustain it. Again, we give shit to games that we don't like that are single player games. But at least they sell and then that's it. They move on. Live service games, people buy them and then they just die off and they can't keep supporting them. And they go bye-bye.
That is a 79% catastrophic failure rate for a business model that the entire AAA industry has organized itself around. They bet the farm on live service, and the farm is burning. For nearly a decade, these conglomerates have told their shareholders that live service is the future of gaming because of the guaranteed player revenue. Now, those promises have a 79% failure rate. Let's flip it around to the other side now. AAA budgets have ballooned to $200 and $300 million per title. At those numbers, every project must be a guaranteed hit, or it's not getting greenlit.
Yeah, look at what happened to not in the gaming industry, but look at the film industry. The new Avatar movie cost so much money that it needs to make $1.5 billion to make money back, and right now it's not making money back. Imagine spending $1.5 billion or whatever they spent, and you have to make $1.5 billion. When you make over $1 billion, it's just still not profitable. That's insane.
Which means they can't take fresh chances. Innovation dies, and the industry has pivoted now to prequels, remakes, and live service games in order to take the most calculated risks. It's even too hard to make sequels now because the franchises are so fragile. One bad game and your 20-year franchise is dead, gone, bye-bye. Put it in the trash. Gamers rightfully have higher expectations because they remember when games were being made at their best. Also, this is another point, the youth aren't getting on the train as easily. It's hard to do a Resident Evil 9 without remaking 2, 3, and 4 first in order to bring new gamers into the funnel. It's for this reason more we see.
That's actually another good reason. We sort of brought this up in the past. We've talked about sequels and sequels with expectations and stuff like that. But that's very true. If you make the next Resident Evil, like he just said, 9, you have to make other ones relevant again to bring people into the know. It's almost like watching Marvel, right? If you know nothing about Resident Evil and just jump into Resident Evil 9, you'll be like, well, I don't really care about that game. Why do I want to buy it? Why do you want to watch the new Marvel? Because you have to watch 8 years of Marvel films, and you got to watch the Disney Plus shows, and you got to watch this other thing, and you got to watch the. It's like so much homework beforehand. So people are like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to watch. I don't need to play it. The diehards of these franchises are going to watch it because they're diehard fans. But then the diehard fans get upset when the expectations of the game don't hit what the expectations are because they're mega fans of the franchises.
So many remakes, by the way. This is a big part of it. Like, look around.
Let me rewind here.
Making 2, 3, and 4 first in order to bring new gamers into the funnel. It's for this reason and more we see so many remakes, by the way. This is a big part of it. Like, look around. Halo's getting remade. Final Fantasy, remakes. Metal Gear Solid, remakes. Dragon Quest, remakes. The
Sarge called it. Yeah. Sarge called it.
The safest bet in a risk-averse industry is something people already bought once, but these remakes aren't growth, they're maintenance. They just barely keep
they're just maintaining the same player base they've been maintaining for the last 10 years.
The lights on. They do not build the future. The industry generated almost $200 billion in global revenue in 2025. That's up 7.5% year over year. The money is there. It has never not been there, but it's being extracted. The studios are closing, the workers are leaving, the games are getting worse, and the executives keep getting richer. A lot of people online keep saying things like, when's the game crash gonna happen? When does it all fall apart? And then they'll have to start making games for me again, because I want to buy some.
We're in the game crash. We've been in it. You're living in it right now.
Games. My friends, this is the crash.
Yeah.
You're looking.
Yeah, we've been in it. But people look at it and go, no, there's some great games. Yeah, you're having fun with 1 game, 2 games, 5 games. But the gaming industry is crashing. 70,000 people lose their jobs over 3 years. Right? There's a crash, my friends.
At it right now. The crash doesn't look.
Let me rewind here.
Part, and then they'll have to start making games for me again because I want to buy some games. My friends, this is the crash. You're looking at it right now. The crash doesn't look like line graphs plummeting to zero. It looks like everything we're watching now, everything consolidating.
You don't know people think that if you've never been in a hurricane before, okay? If you have been in a hurricane, you've been through the eye. When the eye passes over you, you think the storm's over. And they tell you to stay in your house because you're in the center of the storm. We're in the center of the storm right now. The crash is happening all around you, right? We don't think of it that way, but that's what's happening. Studios closing, games incomplete, broken, buggy, all over the place. They can't afford it. They're bloated, right? We're in the eye of the storm, and people are like, nah, it's fine. Look how beautiful it is outside.
looks like everything getting bigger and emptier at the same time. The money goes up and the quality goes down, and the people who actually make the things you love get chewed up and spit out. That's the crash, and right now we're living it. Part 7, what I really think is happening. Look, I can't get inside Microsoft's boardroom, but what the evidence here, in my assessment, as a business-minded individual and someone with more than a decade of marketing industry experience, and actually as a gamer too, well, it all points to something concerning. I believe Phil Spencer was not fired in the literal sense. I believe...
For a split second there, I thought that was AI. I saw Phil Spencer. I thought they de-aged him.
Points to something concerning. I believe Phil Spencer...
I thought this was de-aged Phil Spencer. I mean, obviously, it's just an older thing. It's just funny. I'm like, holy shit. Look at what CEO has done to the man.
Spencer was not fired in the literal sense. So
he was skinny then. He didn't look sickly because he got fat, and then he lost weight, and people think he's sick.
Believe he was shown the writing on the wall. When your division misses its margin targets after a $70 billion acquisition, when your hardware sales are collapsing, when your first-party output is described by your own company as below expectations, and the board installs someone from outside your industry to replace you, the distinction between retired and pushed is academic. Whether he walked out or was walked out doesn't change the outcome. He's gone because Xbox underperformed under his leadership, which is measured against the targets that Microsoft set themselves. I believe Sarah Bond saw what was coming and recognized that the version of Xbox that she spent 8 years building toward no longer exists in Microsoft's plans. The LinkedIn post 3 hours before the announcement tells me she didn't know the full picture until it was too late. The few weeks with Asha line tells me she was in a managed exit. She quit because the chapter of her life she was in just got rewritten without her. I believe Asha Sharma's mandate is Operation...
I love that Fake Wizard puts himself in these scenes, but he sticks out so bad on this one particular bar scene. It's just funny to me.
Efficiency and margin improvement. This is not a creative renaissance. There are no great games first, despite her claiming so. And I hope I'm wrong here, man. Please prove me wrong. Her entire career is...
I'm sorry to say, she's not going to prove you wrong. She's going to prove everyone correct when she's not here in 2 years.
Scaling platforms and optimizing delivery systems. That is what Microsoft bought. Nadella told you himself, services that reach billions, business models aligned to long-term value, and good margins as the prerequisite for innovation. Sharma is a restructuring hire described in growth language. Oh, and get ready for AI to take over all of the gaming industry, okay? You think the layoffs are bad now? Every one of you out there who is morally against AI taking over art, hold on to your butts and get Will Smith his spaghetti, because this chick is bringing the AI.
I don't think her age has to do with it. I think her age not in the market. You understand what I'm saying? If she's 36 years old and she was working in the industry, she was working in gaming industry, and she was she worked her way up of one of the studios and became one of the presidents of one of the studios, and now is in Xbox. Not a problem being 36. I think being 36 years old and not having a clue in the gaming sphere is a problem. But that's just me.
AI takeover wave. And I also believe that the access media isn't asking the questions I asked in this video, because the access model depends on maintaining relationships with Microsoft's PR apparatus. If you ask hard...
Wait a minute. Wizard, are you outside the window? If you're outside the window, you can't breathe out there.
Questions, you risk losing early review copies, exclusive interviews, and event invitations. You cowards. You risk losing ad revenue from Microsoft's marketing spend if you ask real questions. Jeez, man. And, oh yeah, look at this. Here's IGN's executive senior editor running a story about if Asha's Twitter account is a bot. Can we get real, please? Because this is embarrassing. But this is the safest possible conversation for everyone in the media ecosystem, except, well, you, the gamer, the customer. No one cares about you. Now, I could be wrong. And in a lot of ways, I kind of hope I am. I'm just a fake wizard on YouTube, you guys. I'm not an insider. I don't have sources at Microsoft, but I can read financial filings. And I can spot the difference between what a company says and what a company does. And
that's what we do. And that's what we've always done on this channel.
What Microsoft is saying and what Microsoft is doing feels like two different things. So here's what I'd ask. If I'm wrong, prove it. Someone with a press badge, ask these questions. Ask about the margin targets. Ask what the Activision ROI is. Ask whether divestiture has been discussed. Ask who specifically selected Sharma and what mandate she was given and giving, right? Ask why 2 leaders left simultaneously with 3 days' notice. Ask the real questions, because the ones you spineless cowards are asking now are doing nothing but giving Microsoft a runway to implement changes and work in the shadows without ever being held accountable by their customers. This is an incredibly important time, and
I don't agree with that either, though. If Sarah was not qualified, meaning she's not qualified, she wasn't good in the leadership position, the choices that she made while she was at the company didn't make them money, then she has to get fired. That's the way it works. In business, you don't get second chances. This is why you have to be on your game at all times, right? A lot of people fail upwards. If one thing you can look at and say, what has Xbox done in the last couple of years where they were successful? They haven't been. They haven't been successful. They've just been maintaining, right? They could tell you that Game Pass is making people going in and buying it, and they have a certain amount of, but they wanted 100 million users by, I think it was like a year ago, 2 years ago. Or what was it? 70 million? It was supposed to be 70 million, right? They never even got close to that number. Never got close to that number. So at some point, who do you fire at that point? You got to get rid of somebody. Somebody has to take responsibility. And then you have to fix it and move it forward.
Journalists are dropping the f***ing ball. So where does that leave us, huh? Well, the AAA games are uninspired slop. AI is about to take over game production in a lot of ways, but overall, the industry is collapsing because the people running it don't understand it. And increasingly, they're not even pretending to. They are replacing leaders with...
No, a lot of people are just in the industry so they can make a lot of money.
Operational executives. Exclusive experiences are multi-platform spreadsheet plays now. They are replacing transparency with...
Do you truly believe she resigned? Truly? You believe that she resigned? They gave her an ultimatum. They said, you could resign or we could fire you. So she resigned. She was fired. If you don't think she was fired, you're delusional.
Managed narratives that the media amplifies without a single question, and they're replacing investment with extraction. My friends, you are not powerless in this. You never have been, though they want you to believe that you are. Every dollar of that $200 billion the industry brought in last year is from someone's wallet. It's from...
Correct. Phil was also fired. You're absolutely correct. But he also retired. Both of them. You're delusional if you think that Sarah resigned and Phil was fired. They were both fired. They were both given the opportunity to retire and to resign. Stop it.
Yours, it's from mine, your friends, and every dollar is a decision. So I will charge you with this. Support the people who make great games. There are still a lot of them out there. There's a lot of people in the indie space here who are making incredible experiences. And ask who's funding what you play. If they can't be transparent or if they have something to hide, that's pretty telling, and you'll learn a lot about it right there. Stop accepting corporate narratives at face value as well, and stop letting the media tell you that asking questions makes you a bad person. It doesn't. Asking questions is what the journalists were supposed to do.
Exactly.
And in a lot of ways, you shouldn't even have to ask questions. But the industry and the culture we live in are so corrupt that you're a fool if you don't ask questions yourself. I don't know if this video is going to change anything. Maybe it doesn't. It probably won't. But I know you can't fight what you can't see. And now, at the least, I hope you can see it. Until next time.
Yeah, I agree. Great video. Great video by Fake Wizard, right? I like how he says it cool and calmly, right? I've been saying this stuff for almost a decade with all the stuff that's happened in the industry. Not specifically about Xbox, but just the industry itself. All right. So I'm glad that there's someone with more reach that can get it out to other people. How long is this video? How many viewers has this one got? 73,000? Well, it's way more than I would ever
Create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
So there you go. Go give his video a like. Subscribe. All right, let's see. Yeah, the video good video. Xboxes, they got a lot of things to answer for, man. Before everyone's like, yeah, they'll be fine. And now they're like, oh, whoa, they're not fine. Right? AI is going to be put into everything. But that's not just Xbox. That's everything. That's everything. All right, the next video we're going to watch is was it Swaguley? Swaguley? Swaguley. Swaguley. He has a video here about Battlefield 6. He says, there's only a skeleton crew left on Battlefield 6. I find this interesting. I saw this title. I was like, okay, you've piqued my interest. You've made a spot on my show. So let's watch this. Links in the description down below for these content creators. So you can go watch this video uninterrupted. But if you want it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Here we go. This is Swaguley.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm back from my business trip now, so I'm now just getting around to playing Season 2, but I'll be making some videos in the next week or so, going over the movement changes, skins, and other things, but first, we need to have a chat about the path that Battlefield 6 is going down right now. I really wish we didn't have to be so negative about the...
I'm just gonna... I love that people that haven't seen The Wizard yet. And I'm not talking about the fake wizard. I'm talking about the analogy wizard of The Wizard of Oz, where he's behind the curtain. Right? I love that people that just love everything. They're like, I love this game. This game is the greatest game in the world. They've answered all my prayers. And then here we are just a couple of months later, and the world is over. Right? And I'm not saying him specifically. I'm saying Battlefield fans that were fooled by Battlefield.
The future of Battlefield 6, but it is clear at this point, now that Season 2 is out, that Battlefield 6 is just not gonna change. At least...
Amazing. Not gonna change. Huh. Who could see this coming?
In any major way. They've stated themselves that they are aiming for Season 2 to be the foundation of future seasons, which is concerning if this is all we're going to be getting for a seasonal update. Battlefield 6, as it is now, is pretty much what we're going to get.
Wizard used to be in marketing. Still in marketing, I believe. I don't know if he worked in the government, but he worked in marketing.
This is what the game is. We got some information from Alexia Christofi, a producer at DICE, who seems to always get the job of delivering bad news to the community. She said this in regard to the current...
I missed what he said there. Let me rewind here for a second. Oh. Oops. That's not good.
And other things, but first, now, so I'm... Hey guys, welcome. Skins and other things, but first we need to have a chat about the path that Battlefield 6 is going down right now. I really wish we didn't have to be so negative about the future of Battlefield 6, but it is clear at this point,
about that, guys.
Now that Season 2 is out, that Battlefield 6 is just not gonna change, at least in any major way. They've stated themselves...
Well, he ran his own business. He ran his own marketing business.
That they are...
And I believe still does run his marketing business.
Are aiming for Season 2
Don't quote me on that, though.
Be the foundation of future seasons, which is concerning if this is all we're going to be getting for a seasonal update. Battlefield 6, as it is now, is pretty much what we're going to get. This is what the game is. We got some information from Alexia Christofi, a producer at DICE, who seems to always get the job of delivering bad news to the community. She said this in regard to the current resources they have for Battlefield 6. In terms of cadence,
They didn't even bring it back to Battlefield 3 or 4. Features that were in 3 and 4 are not even in Battlefield 6. So they gave you less of a game than what Battlefield 3 and 4 were.
We would love to create way more maps, but we're just trying to kind of bring things to players as we can and as quickly as we can build them. She also went on to say, we're releasing on a cadence where we feel the maps are up to quality and we're happy with how they play.
Your maps are not up to quality. The lines are completely bad. The actual layout of the maps are terrible. You get pushed back in your maps. I said this in the beta when we played the 3 maps that you had during beta. I said the maps are fun, but they're also terrible, and they're not big enough. So it says, we're releasing the cadence where we also the maps are quality, and we're happy with how they play it. The variety of the variety they give to players. They're also in the world, which also releases hundreds of maps. Okay, but we're not fun. But they're not fun. We also never want to do that. And we want to make sure that the maps feel good to play, but they're fun to play.
The variety they give to the players. There are worlds in which we release hundreds of maps, but they're not fun. We never want to do that. We have to make sure that the maps feel good to...
So the maps that you have in the maps that you put in the game are the best of the maps of the hundreds of maps you could make. There are worlds in which we released hundreds of maps, but we gave you these. Fantastic.
Play that they're fun to play. I completely empathize with players when they say they want more maps and more content. They talk about that because they're passionate about the game, passionate about the franchise.
We're passionate about the franchise because in Battlefield 3 and 4, you literally gave map packs, and there was like 15 maps at launch, and then you gave an additional 6 to 8 maps for DLCs.
But we're a team of a certain size. We don't want to...
5 studios. 5 studios. Like, what are we talking about?
Sacrifice quality. This statement rings a lot of alarm bells for me. They're basically confirming to us that future Battlefield 6 seasons are just going to be 2 maps, a couple of limited time modes, skins made by an outsourced studio sold to us in the store, and that's it. The content schedule is pretty set in stone, no matter what we say or do. It seems pretty clear that a majority of the 1,400 developers that worked on Battlefield 6 have moved on to a new project and are...
That should make you feel good, right, guys? 5 studios, now 4 studios, because they've closed 1 studio, made a game for the last 4 years to work on this, to bring it out early, because it wasn't supposed to come out. It wasn't supposed to come out last year. It was supposed to come out in spring of this year. So just think about that for a second. Like, everything you're getting for Season 2 and whatever else, that was supposed to be in the game already. They pushed out what they did early. The game is still broke, buggy. The hit registration is still bad. The map design is still terrible.
Not working on the live service anymore. A skeleton crew has been left to make small changes here or there and to put out a couple of maps every 4 months. We've seen this type of thing before from EA and DICE with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5. The game is basically being written off for one reason or another. This is a little strange to me considering that the real goal of Battlefield 6 was...
Jesse Mack says, 30. DICE devs have said that they were lacking in resources to make maps in Season 2. Where are other resources DICE devs going to? That's my question. I would assume they're making the next Battlefield. I would assume that they don't need 4 studios, right? 4 studios making all of Battlefield now. So they probably have 1 studio making the next Battlefield. They probably have the next studio making the next Battlefield. And then they probably have the next studio making the next Battlefield, right? Because we read the article where they said they want to do yearly releases within the next 5 years. So they got to start working on them now. So that means 1 studio is making and maintaining this game, while the other 3 studios are making the next rendition of multiple Battlefield games. That's what I would assume is what they're doing.
Was to capitalize on microtransaction revenue. This is supposed to be an opportunity for them to get 5x the revenue of the base game sales like Call of Duty did. EA also pitched this to investors as well. Andrew Wilson told everyone that
EA CEO says they learned valuable lessons, so the next Battlefield is going to be another tremendous live service. Battlefield is no longer Battlefield. Battlefield is no longer Battlefield.
That Battlefield 6 would be a tremendous live service, but now they're not treating it like that. You would think they would keep a bigger team around and have more resources available to fix the game, to bring players back so that they could...
A lot of resources, make it look pretty, put a lot of makeup on the pig, okay? Make the pig look pretty, and then everyone will buy it. Win for us, loss for consumers.
Sell more microtransactions. Maybe EA saw that the player count dropped too quickly and have just moved on to making the next game. Who knows? As you know, I see issues with the core mechanics about...
If we got what we have right now with Battlefield, with the complete plunge, if this is what it looked like in day 1, let me tell you, not only would you have season 1, 2, 3, and 4 complete and in the game and working flawlessly, not only would you get the maps to actually work and your hit detection to actually work, okay? This would all be fixed magically because they didn't make the sales. But magically now, because you gave them money and they made this game and then they made a free-to-play battle royale, they do not... Recliner. I'm not in a chair, by the way. I'm not in a chair, okay? They literally don't have to do shit anymore.
Battlefield 6, and I like to propose solutions for reworks and overhauls to help it become a better Battlefield game. There's so much potential here that's just not being realized. Typically for a live service game, this expectation of reworks being possible is a core pillar of the live service model, not just content alone. Battlefield 6 has many fundamental design flaws that need to be addressed.
Same design flaws that have been in every single Battlefield game since Battlefield.
But it's seeming at this point that EA is not going to greenlight these reworks, even if they're amazing ideas and would make the game better. They've already made their sales back from October and don't want to devote any extra work to it, even if there is work to still be done.
That's right.
As we all know, Battlefield 6 was rushed.
Why do I need to fix the game if we've already made our sales? Why do I have to fix the game when this number over here says 747,000 and that's just over here, right? Why do I have to fix the game when we made 11 million sales? They don't have to fix shit. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Out to make its October release date to beat the release of GTA 6, and as a result, the game was unfinished in many ways. Not to mention the game was built off.
I'm sorry. Did he say the word? Let me hear that again.
6 was rushed out to make its October release date to beat the release of GTA 6, and as a result, the game was unfinished in many ways.
Oh, pushed out early, unfinished, and yet people still bought it. I don't want to hear from people when you say, well, the game's broke. It's the greatest game ever. You are the problem. You are the problem. Wake up. You're the problem. You want this game to be better? Stop buying the game. Stop pre-ordering games. Stop buying games day one.
Not to mention the game was built off the back of Battlefield 2042, and they added in every feature they could from Modern Warfare 2. The only things that may happen from here on out from our feedback are just going to be small tweaks. Things that would be low-hanging fruit for the skeleton crew of developers still working on the game. If it requires any more effort than just tweaking a few values here or there on the back end, they're just not gonna happen. There are so many features and reworks that Battlefield 6 needs, but it's looking like EA is already moving on to Battlefield 7 or whatever that game will be called. It's crazy to say this, but it feels like Battlefield 2042 received a higher level of commitment from
It did. You know why? Because it bombed at launch, and they went, oh shit. We don't have 5 studios working on the game. We've got to fix the game that we have now. Hence why they went back and fixed 8 maps that launched at launch.
EA than what Battlefield 6 is getting. The developers say that they're listening to our feedback and are aware of the issues, but they simply don't have the resources apparently to actually implement that feedback. We can be as constructive as we want, but the actual changes have to be limited in their scope. They can only do small stuff from here on out. For example, if we were to petition DICE to add gender and face selection
You want to petition now?
options to all the skins in the game, there's no way they would do it. It's probably too much work for their team, even for something as simple as that. That single feature alone is keeping me, and I'm sure many other players, from purchasing skins in the shop. If the skin is on a character...
The person playing your game right now, DICE, doesn't want to purchase your skins because he doesn't like the character and he wants to put it on a different character. You can't even get that right. You not only did you sucker people into buying your game and then putting microtransactions in the game, but the people don't want to buy the microtransactions because you did microtransactions wrong. Amazing.
that I don't want to play as, I'm not going to buy it. And this is coming from someone that is willing to spend money on cosmetics. It is a fundamental design flaw with the customization system that needs to be fixed first, but it's not going to change, so they're not going to get
Well, actually, that might change. You know why? Because you'll pay for it.
my money. That's not.
And they know they can't get other people to buy the game because now it's diminishing returns. Now they gotta it's gonna go on sale for 30 and 20. It'll be on Game Pass. What, August?
To mention getting additional camos for these skins that you purchased, among other things. It's just going to be bare bones, and we're going to get stuck with the named characters and their non-transferable skins. A big gameplay problem right now is gunplay and balancing, but that in of itself is going to take months and months to implement at this rate with the skeleton crew left for the live service.
I'm sorry. I laugh because it feels like young people just obviously they're blinded by stuff because they're like, oh, it's just awesome, it's fun to play. And an old timer like me that's played every single Battlefield game sees all the problems like it's the same problems. They're never going to change. I literally have a video on this that this is going to be the exact same as the ones that came before it. 10 years of Battlefield, and every year minus Battlefield 1, okay, is always the same problems.
That's why I'm saying that Battlefield 6 is just going to be more of the same. Will it get there in maybe a year or two and be a fully featured Battlefield game? Maybe. But as we saw with...
Maybe. In 2 years, 24 months, maybe it'll be a full-fledged Battlefield game.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Battlefield 5, the game may be completely abandoned.
Do you think that's going to change because Saudi Arabia owns EA now? It's not going to change. Minimal viable product.
By EA at that point, just as the game is getting good. This brings me to my next point. What will the development of Battlefield 7 look like? Since they're aiming...
Let me tell you, it's going to be the exact same, but it's going to be worse because if they go to the yearly model, then it's definitely going to be the minimal viable product. They're just going to make... We joke about this, that Call of Duty is the Madden football of first-person shooters. Well, let me tell you something. EA makes Madden football, and EA makes DICE, and EA will make Battlefield into the Madden football of first-person shooters.
To copy Activision's yearly release model, I think it's a fair bet to say that they are just going to run with the current version of the Frostbite engine and just make a bunch of reskinned Battlefield games every year, just how Call of Duty does it. When Activision released Modern Warfare 2019, they used that game as the basis for all the following games. They didn't have the major differences from one release to the next apart from a few things like movement features, for example. The games were largely just duplicates of each other that were developed by different studios under Activision's umbrella. Judging by the fact that EA has a tough time doing even a 2 or 4 year release cadence for Battlefield, the yearly release cycle might crash and burn harder than anything
100%.
we've ever seen. If you ask any player or creator in the...
Did they add... Is that a cave? Is this a different map? That's a different map. I was going to say, did they add a cave there?
Harder than anything we've ever seen. If you ask any player or creator in the Battlefield community, nobody, and I mean nobody, wants Battlefield to follow a yearly release cycle.
But they're not listening to us. Majority of the player base that was Battlefield fans didn't even buy the game. Old timers that didn't buy the game originally came back and bought it. But people that were tired, they didn't go buy it.
EA is trying to turn Battlefield into a commodity because they think that's how they're going to make money. There are dark clouds on the horizon for Battlefield as a franchise if they do this. I don't think their audience wants this, nor do I believe they can even pull it off properly unless they do copy-paste of each game like they do for Madden. The worst part about that specifically is that Battlefield 2042 seems to be the foundation for all Battlefield games going forward, despite being the worst game in the franchise. If they maintain this design philosophy of just taking what they have and then copying everything over from Call of Duty because that's what they think people want, then we might just have to write off the franchise as a whole. EA is just going to keep being EA. They're not our friend. So for Battlefield 6 at this point, I think I'm just going to accept the game for what it is and suggest reworks and changes here and there with my videos. Battlefield 6 may never be the legendary Battlefield game that we wanted. It'll always probably...
No, because it was half-baked when it came out, and people jumped the gun. If They saw their opening because Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to come out. It delayed, and they went, we got to get it out now. If we don't get it out now, then we're not going to make it.
Be this strange Battlefield Call of Duty.
That's not true, Albany. Right? Battlefield 4 did not come out right after Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3 came out in 2011? And Battlefield 4 came out in 2013. It was 2 years later. Now, obviously, they're both modern warfares, so it was a quick turnaround because it's the same type of thing.
Hybrid that it currently is. The game is still fun, don't get me wrong, but it's going to continue to lose players as time goes on, especially with the content updates that we've gotten so far. If you're looking for more positive Battlefield content, I am sorry that some of my videos have come off as more doom and gloom, but these are really just my real thoughts about the—
It's not doom and gloom. You're speaking facts. People that think you're talking doom and gloom are people that are just huffing their own farts. Truly. You're giving criticism to what you actually played. You played the game. See, I don't have to play this game to know. I played the beta, and I knew exactly what it was after I played the beta. I was like, man, it's really good. It's a really fun game. I said, but it's the same Battlefield as 2042. It's the same problems they've had with Battlefield for the last couple of years. And they're just disguising it and hyping it up, putting everybody in a goddamn hangar to hype up the game. Bring in the Call of Duty guys, bring in the Battlefield guys, bring in people that are just big streamers that never even play the goddamn game, tell you that it's the greatest game ever, and then they want a battle royale, and then here we are.
State of the franchise. I'm still going to play the game and suggest changes to the game that could make it better and hope that they do make those changes as time goes on, but they probably won't be massive overhauls going forward. We just have to manage our expectations at this point. It's just going to be small tweaks here and there that could make the game better. If you enjoy hearing me complain about Battlefield, subscribe if you want to and consider hyping the video.
Well, it's a good video because he's saying exactly what his thoughts are about what the game, right? Now, obviously, I know I've been here. I've been to this point before. I'm like, oh, man. And not just with Battlefield, with other games as well. That you're like, oh, man, I want this game to be so good. I want it to be so good. But I've seen the wizard. Again, not the fake wizard, right? I've seen the wizard behind the curtain, and I can't do it anymore. Will I play this? Sure. I'll play it when it comes to Game Pass, right? When it comes to PlayStation Plus, people will play it just like they played 2042, just like they played Battlefield 5. Okay? To this day, Battlefield 1, fantastic game. Right now, you can go back to Battlefield 1 in full lobbies. Fantastic game. And it was a great game when it came out as well. Lots of features, single-player story mission type of stuff that you could play, right? Different types of game modes. Now it's like lackluster, half-ass, still broke, still buggy, right? Everyone, that's why we made our song. Battlefield's back, but fix it, please. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Alternate says, so the plan for Battlefield 6 was the same plan as Battlefield 2042. Yeah. But better. But the same, but different, but the same. If companies aren't prepared to actually support the grinders mindset, then they should not create a games of service grinders. They will blow through the content, get bored, and move on. Roadkill says, Warhammer is getting a new update today with the new operations. And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're getting the Tech Marine, I believe it is. We'll play it. We'll play it on stream next Wednesday with Sarge. Titan says, usually Battlefield gets deep discounts. Yeah, it's going to happen. It'll be on Game Pass real soon. By the end of summer. I'm going to say August. Came out in what, October? So 10 months it'll be on Game Pass. Like from when it launched to... If it's not August, it'll definitely be by October. Bad Company series was the golden era. I love Bad Company 1 and 2. Good story. Just a grand old time back then. Not grindy to be grindy, just fun to play. All right, what we got here? I go to Twitter here, see what's going on. Tonight, don't forget to join us for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. We do that every Thursday, 8 p.m. All right, what we got here? Oh, you know what we could do? Let's go look at some games on... Since the end of the week, and this ends, I think, March 2nd. So by the time we come back, let me see, because we're off on the weekends. Yeah, it's over. It's on Monday. So they have, what is it, Next Fest? So let's look at some of this stuff. Now, I think my feed's different than your guys' feed or whatnot. But let's look at some games from Next Fest. All right. So, we got a Spacecraft. Play demo now. Spacecraft looks like No Man's Sky. Looks like No Man's Sky. Let's see.
Assignment begins aboard a company outpost, your first hub in an uncharted galaxy. Once you set off into space, the frontier is yours to explore. You can go anywhere.
Go anywhere? How many planets? Thousands? Like
Fly to the surface
Starfield?
to gather valuable resources. On your own or alongside fellow associates.
I hope there's points of interest. Or is this game not going to get the same criticism as Starfield?
Build your
Space has nothing.
own base.
It does. It looks like No Man's Sky. It's like a more realistic No Man's Sky.
Automate production. And
got a little
refine
bit of,
materials
Satisfactory
into
going on.
advanced components.
Why can't we get a Battlefront game like this? From ground to air, no load screens. Let's go. What are we doing?
Unfold this expansive universe filled with countless planets and opportunities.
That looks like a lot of planets. Now, question, if these guys can do it, probably much smaller team than the people at Bethesda, if they can do this with this independent game, I got questions. But yeah, no, it looks good. We got Winsrow. This one I have to actually play. I wanted to download. I might download it this weekend.
All you bold young thoughtless men, and take by me, and never leave your happy homes to sail the raging sea. For I have plowed the raging main this 20 years or more, but now I'm turned adrift to starve upon my gate.
It almost reminds me of like New World.
Raging storms and tempests, shipwrecked 3 times I've been, and many a bloody battle upon the seas I've seen. I've seen the cannons glaring, yes, I've heard it thunder.
This is a 4-player co-op thing, right? Is this PvP or is this that's like Skull? That's like Skull and Bones mechanics there for ship battles. Imagine being Skull and Bones, working on that game for 15 years, dragging your corpse across the finish line. No one's playing your game. This comes out and there's like hundreds of thousands of people playing. Over 1 million people, I think, played this game for the demo. Imagine. What else we got here? Browse all titles. Okay. You got Dark Haven. Diablo style. Jesse Mack says 30 Windrose was the new world supposed to be back then. An action RPG like no other. Okay? What's the difference here? Oh, okay. Procedurally generated world. Fully dynamic environments. Okay. Destruction Mayhem. Okay. Online multiplayer co-op and PvP. What the hell is happening here? Again, you look at a game like this, right? You look at a game like this. Again, we don't know how big the studio is or anything. And then you look at a game like Diablo, and you're like, why does it take Diablo so long? And why do they need so many people? And why does the game cost so much? So that's Darkhaven. We got Toxic Commando. What is this one? This is Way of the Hunter 2. Guardians of the Wild Skies. This seems like another survival game. I mean, pirate ships in the sky. Is this like art? I mean, bro, they got flying pirate ships and dragons. You've piqued my interest. Interesting. Back to Drive. Oh, this is the one that you're finding parts and you just didn't continue moving forward, right? Is that what this is? Man, I don't know how to build an engine. This would be terrible for me. Yeah, I saw that in Discord yesterday. Tilting up the X-Men game. Or X-Men games. Okay, so back to Drive. Rewind 99. What is this?
Welcome to Rewind 99.
Oh God. You own a rental store? It's TCG card simulator, but with video store?
There's a whole world out there waiting for you.
My God. The Rancher. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Rewind 99 and Retro Rewind. How the fuck did someone go, you know what we're missing? We should run an old Blockbuster video game. And someone's like, we should make a old Blockbuster video game where you can run your own video store from 1999. Retro Rewind. Interesting. They are just pumping these games out. You gotta go work. You gotta go work in there. I'm gonna have flashbacks. How is there two games doing the exact same thing of this niche rethink? Like, what the hell? March 2026, March 17th, 2026. That's insane. That's insane. Cargo hunters. Cargo hunters. What are you? Somalian pirates? What's going on here? Of course they use robots. Because you can't... Jay says, I'm too busy power washing to get my second job at Blockbuster. Yeah. Look, there's Arc Raiders, but you're the robots. Okay, we've seen enough. Vampire crawlers. That's the hell is this? Data center? Oh my god. We're in trouble, chat. We're in trouble because nobody knows how to do actual work anymore, so they have to make video games on how to do the actual work. I mean, it's a good training tool. Don't get me wrong. What is this? Teenage Turtles Empire City. Oh, it's VR. It's a VR one. Far, far west. What is this? Deep Rock Galactic, but we're cowboys instead of miners? Okay. Has anyone made an Amazon warehouse game yet? I think there is a warehouse game. I'm not sure if it's like Amazon. Oh, this is that game they promoted over the... was it last summer we watched this? The Last Flag, and they had like a 20-minute long trailer. Or was that the Game Awards? That was the Game Awards. They had like a 20-minute long trailer about Tag. Dawn of the Dying. There's no video here, huh? Okay. Bro. No. Wild Blue Skies. The game's not going to look anything like this. The game's not going to look anything like this. Better than I thought. It's Firefox, huh? Yeah, it's Firefox. The Spotter. Dig or die? All right, I'm interested.
In the app they wrote, a job for real man in a quiet and relaxed resort. Yeah, right. I'm living in a field.
Is that what's his name?
Building a fence out of
From
trash
Borderlands?
and pounding beer just so I don't notice this circus. Now that is what I call downshifting. At least
that
the
Marcus?
mine is fun. Found someone's stash of fun seedlings. Strictly for medical purposes, officer. And some kind of magical crap. It's
What the
shiny,
hell
so
is
we're
this?
taking it. Dug up Grandpa's old piece. Rust is my liver, but deadly. The neighbors here are annoying, so I had to bail
What?
the muscle car to
What
smear
is
them
this?
evenly all over the hood. Pedal to the metal, and boom, instant means eco-friendly. And if they still don't get it, we bring the heavy artillery. We're turning gas into coastline.
Okay. Atmosphere. This looks pretty good. Okay. Atmosphere, a sky-high odyssey set on an alien planet, floating islands, explore fly crafts, mobile air bases as you uncover fate and collapse colony. Okay. Among the Trolls. What the hell is this? Is that the forest?
I came here because of your message. These woods, they shaped me. I walked them with our grandfather, but now something is off. You are gone, and the forest is keeping its secrets. If I want answers,
Crow Simulator?
I must survive. Out here, survival comes first. You craft what you need, listening to the forest pace.
Yeah, it's like the forest.
You hunt, 'cause you must. You gather what the land offers. Every stone, every branch matters. Niin metsä vastaa, kuin sinne huudetaan. The forest answers as you call.
I'm waiting to see what monsters come out.
It remembers. It answers.
Oh, it's a troll.
The stories were true. I am not alone. I never was.
Okay. Oh, this is that game. We've been seeing this for a long time. When does this come out? It's like Blade Runner. I gotta try that out. just because you asked for it. Here it is, Craig.
Darling, I love you very much.
Fine, mopping the floor, doing laundry in line. Cat made a mess, well that's my day. But I keep on smiling anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm tired, but still looking for. Being a woman is cool, being a woman's fine. I'm tired as hell, but still I shine. Washing and cleaning.
How many fucking people live in that house if you have that many dishes? Jesus Christ.
But please, be a good wife and don't make me angry.
Woman's
Oh my God. That's great. That's what you're worried about? Just enough? Who the fuck ironed socks? Jesus. She should have time for a second job at Blockbuster. That's right. Warhounds. What is this? Oh, it's like an XCOM type of game. Yeah, it's like an XCOM. Drill and delve. A lot of digging games.
I'm Miner 13. I work for Drill and Delve, a megacorp that would change the world, they said. Something revolutionary in the works. It should be 2344, or wait, 2345, I think.
All right, so it's like a survival type of thing. All right, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it there. You should have time for a second job. User says we're all going to have to watch Dr. Disrespect play Marathon Server Slam in 45 minutes. I'm not going to watch it. It's like watching paint dry to me. I can't do it. Crowded says, so it's a leak is coming out that Sony turned down Bloodborne remake by Bluepoint twice. And they're like, stop asking, and then they just closed them down. Wreck the Dragon says sock ironing simulator. That actually might happen at this point. Watch the trailer for DEI Manager Simulator. Is that an actual thing? Let me look it up. Is that an actual thing? Manager? It is. I can't. Why can't I believe it? It's a thing. Yes, it does exist. All right. Let's watch it.
The org chart was a pyramid.
Brenda Sterling, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let's cut to the chase. I hired you for one reason, to get your culture credibility index moving north. The new metric the big investment funds obsessed with, and not about feeling, is about finances. High CCI means lower cost of capital. Banks give us cheaper loans, and high CCI gets investors excited for quarterly calls. It's pure rocket fuel for our stock price. Well, this is exactly how it happened.
A little pale and male, our synergy was flagging and the metrics looked so frail. So we hired a consultant with a PowerPoint bright and bold to tell us all the stories that were waiting to be told. Oh, let's all embrace.
I love the song. AI created. This is the whole game? Just checking emails? That's the whole game, is just checking emails? Oh my God. Amazing. Just check emails and do nothing all day. Yep. Oh boy. All right. All right, chat. We have a new song that we heard in the beginning of the stream. I'm going to play it on the outro. Just give me a second because I have to shut the other song off. But it's a shout out to Xbox and Asha Sharma. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Generation X Gaming, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories of the past week, and we rant along the way. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out some of our other videos. Appreciate it very much. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Yo, 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 yo.
Old guard signs off after decades strong. Phil walked the road, tried to right what felt wrong. Built Game Pass Thunder, made the Xbox roar. But the winds of change knocked right on the door. Now Asher's here with a vision to cast, from Corey Eye to the gaming mast. Says she'll listen, learn, and keep fans inside. Console first, keep hardware tight. Brand souls on the line, hearts in every home. Gamers wonder if they'll stay or roam. From cloud to box to screens untold, trust isn't cheap, and it's never sold. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. Redraw the lines with a steady hand. Booty's fixing content, rebuilding the brand. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. Green lights flash, but the path's unplanned. If the old ways bend, you better understand. We still believe, console in hand. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. Matt's in the studio, fighting for art. Says there's a tool, not the beating heart. Games are people made, crafted with soul. That's the story, he's pushing the message he sold. She talks exclusives, fans who still care. Maybe back to roots, the things you wear. Halo, Gears, Forza, consoles, pride. Maybe keep them here where our flags reside. Legacy's heavy when the fans all wait. Want answers quick, not hope on a slate. Every step measured, every word checked. Brand trusts a bond that must be kept. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. New directions bloom like a launch day fan. Booty's got vision, put it in his hands. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. Console first, don't let it stand. If new winds blow, they'll shift the sand. Gamers still watch, heart in the land. Shama said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. From Phil's farewell to the rising dawn, Xbox stands but not unchanged. Fans cry out for the things they've lost. A brand reborn, but at what cost? Asher and Matt, they both vow true. Promise is strong, but we'll wait and view. It's strategy now, but proof in play. If Xbox lives another day. until it's not the plan. Rewrite the script, rewrite the plan.